This is why you need to be careful with antiques. Antiques hold stories, secrets, and sometimes they hold much more than that. They are windows to the past, and occasionally they can be portals to other times and places. The allure of the unknown, the mystery of the ages, all wrapped up in objects that have survived the test of time. But what if one of these objects could do more than just tell a story? What if it could transport you into the very fabric of history itself? This is the tale of such an object and the extraordinary journey it took one historian on. One historian's quest for knowledge became a journey through time. Eleanor was not just any historian, she was a seeker of truths, a delver into the mysteries of the past. Her passion for history was matched only by her curiosity. She spent her days poring over ancient texts, exploring forgotten ruins, and piecing together the stories of civilizations long gone. But her greatest adventure was yet to come, an adventure that would take her beyond the pages of history books and into the very moments they described. In the heart of New York City, hidden in plain sight, was a little antique shop called Timeless Treasures. It was a place that seemed to exist out of time, a relic of a bygone era amidst the hustle and bustle of the modern world. The shop was filled with artifacts from every corner of the globe, each one with its own story to tell. But among these treasures was one item that stood out, an item that would change Eleanor's life forever. The shop was run by an enigmatic figure known only as the shopkeeper. He was a man of few words, but his eyes seemed to hold the wisdom of the ages. He had a knack for finding the perfect item for each customer, as if he could see into their very souls and know exactly what they needed. When Eleanor walked into the shop that fateful day, he knew immediately that she was destined for something extraordinary. Among its dusty trinkets was an hourglass with black sand calling out to Eleanor, a curious historian. The hourglass was unlike any she had ever seen. Its glass was etched with intricate designs, and the sand inside was as black as midnight. It seemed to pulse with a strange energy as if it were alive. Eleanor was drawn to it, unable to resist its mysterious allure. She reached out to touch it, and in that moment her fate was sealed. The shopkeeper's cryptic words lingered, "Turn it over and you'll find out." His voice was soft, almost a whisper, but it carried a weight of authority. Eleanor hesitated, but her curiosity got the better of her. She turned the hourglass over, and as the black sand began to flow, she felt a strange sensation wash over her. It was as if the very fabric of reality was shifting around her. That night, as she flipped the hourglass, Eleanor's world twisted into a whirlwind of past and future. She was no longer in the antique shop. She was standing in the middle of a bustling city street. But it was not the New York she knew. The buildings were different, the people dressed in clothes from another era. She realized with a start that she had been transported back in time. The hourglass had taken her to the past, and she had no idea how to get back. One moment she's in 1892, the next surrounded by futuristic spires and drones. The hourglass was a portal, a gateway to different times and places. Each time she turned it over, she was transported to a new era. She saw the world as it was in 1892, with horse-drawn carriages and gas lamps lighting the streets. Then, in the blink of an eye, she was in a future world, with towering skyscrapers and flying cars. It was exhilarating and terrifying all at once. Each turn of the hourglass revealed a new era, a new adventure. Eleanor found herself in ancient Rome, witnessing the grandeur of the Colosseum. She walked the streets of medieval Paris, marveling at the Gothic architecture. She stood on the deck of a ship during the Age of Exploration, feeling the salty sea breeze on her face. Each new era brought its own challenges and wonders, and Eleanor embraced them all with a sense of awe and wonder. But with every leap through time, a shadowy figure followed her, a man who looked eerily familiar. At first, she thought it was just her imagination, a trick of the light. But as the days went by, she realized that the figure was real. He was always there, lurking in the shadows, watching her every move. She couldn't shake the feeling that he was connected to the hourglass somehow, that he held the key to understanding its power. In 1924, they finally collided. It was a rainy day in New York City, and Eleanor was walking down a cobblestone street, lost in thought. She turned a corner, and there he was, standing in front of her. He was tall and thin, with piercing blue eyes that seemed to look right through her. She felt a chill run down her spine as he spoke. "I'm you," he said, his face a weary reflection of hers. Eleanor was stunned. She looked at him more closely and realized that he was right. He was an older version of herself, worn and weary from years of time travel. He explained that the hourglass had trapped them in a loop, forcing them to relive the same moments over and over again. They were both prisoners of time, and the only way to break free was to destroy the hourglass, and we're trapped in an endless loop. The realization hit Eleanor like a ton of bricks. She had been so caught up in the excitement of time travel that she hadn't considered the consequences. The hourglass was a paradox, a prison that created countless versions of herself, each one doomed to repeat the same journey. She knew what she had to do, but the thought of destroying the hourglass filled her with dread. The hourglass, a paradoxical prison, created countless versions of herself. Each version of Eleanor had its own memories, its own experiences. They were all her, and yet they were all different. She saw them in her mind's eye, a multitude of Eleanors, each one struggling to break free from the loop. She knew that destroying the hourglass would mean the end of their existence, but it was the only way to save herself and the countless other versions of her trapped in the loop. The only escape? Eleanor took a deep breath and steeled herself for what she had to do. She knew that the hourglass was the key to her freedom, but it was also the source of her torment. She had to find the strength to destroy it, to break the cycle and free herself from the endless loop. It was a daunting task, but she was determined to see it through, to destroy it. With trembling hands, Eleanor picked up the hourglass. She could feel its power, its pull, but she resisted. She raised it above her head and brought it down with all her might. The glass shattered, and the black sand scattered into the wind. She felt a surge of energy, a release, as if a great weight had been lifted from her shoulders. With trembling hands, Eleanor smashed the hourglass, sending black sand scattering into the void. The world around her seemed to blur and shift, and she felt herself being pulled back to her own time. She closed her eyes and let the sensation wash over her, hoping that this time she would be free. She awoke in her apartment, the hourglass gone, but a single black grain glinted on her desk, a reminder of her incredible journey. Eleanor sat up and looked around, her heart pounding. She was back in her own time, her own place. The hourglass was gone, but the memory of her journey remained. She saw the single grain of black sand on her desk and knew that it was a reminder of the incredible adventure she had been on. She had broken the loop, but the experience had changed her forever. Had she truly escaped, or was this just another turn of the hourglass? The mystery remains. Eleanor couldn't shake the feeling that her journey wasn't over. The hourglass was gone, but its power still lingered. She wondered if she had truly escaped, or if she was still trapped in the loop, destined to relive her adventure over and over again. The mystery remains, and only time will tell if Eleanor has truly broken free.